Good morning, everybody. Oh, sorry, I forgot to join Discord. Good morning, guys. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our trade plan from yesterday. Looks like we are pushing up to the high of the range here. So yesterday we said holding above 925, we're looking for 48 and 60. Where are those levels coming from? 48 is Wednesday's value low. 60, if you guys remember, is the single prints. So 60 fills in that single print zone from Thursday. So that is where those targets come from if we break out of this overlapping range. Holding below 88, we just go right back to the same thing we've been doing for 2 weeks, and we range back down to the low, back to 67, back to 35, possibly the value low of Tuesday as well. So no change in our trade plan from last night. Keep an eye on that 925. We are seeing some buy pressure above that for now. Okay, taking a look at NASDAQ here, we do need to update these levels a little bit because it has pushed above this current level. Let's go ahead and grab this level here at 75. And let's put our low level at 75 as well, which means we have to bring this up here. So we'll say 25,000 for the first target and then 870 for the second target. I think the targets to the upside are still pretty good. The 182 level is basically already hit. Let's see here. We could probably use like 320. 320 is a single print level as well. Or just a point of origin level. Let's say 320, and we'll say 425 as well. So just needed to raise the NASDAQ levels a little bit, but the trade plan is still the same. We are right at the top of that range, so if that buy pressure continues, we're looking for that range breakout that will fill in the single prints and also... Oh, 1 second here, just messed my trade plan up. Sorry, I was saying it will fill in the single prints and also retrace. I think that was, what, Thursday? Okay, that should be good. You could say today is slightly bullish, but because we're right at that range high, I'd be very careful because we could still see that sell pressure coming in if it quickly goes back into that range. So just be careful. You don't want to be a breakout trader right away and then see a immediate pullback. So keep a close eye on the buy pressure on the open here because, like I said, we are right on the high of that range. So if the buyers start to build an aggressive node on the high here and they can use that as support to push out of this range, it looks pretty good. But if they can't establish a strong node pretty much right away, it's going to go right back down to that range low or possibly the middle of the range. So far, buy pressure is okay. We don't really have any levels in the last couple of days to grab above us. I'd have to load a bunch more days here. Let's see. Let's go back a week. Yeah, even back a week, there's no levels. So we won't draw any point of origins because there's no local levels here. And that's more of a local strategy. We'll draw some to the downside here. And to the upside, we'll just rely on the high time frame levels because they're over a week old at this point. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Tachi, Future, JC, Jose. Let me pin the trade plan for you guys. There you go. Jason, Scott, Elvis, Orion, Igor, VQ, Ram, Leo, Tamer. Good morning, Banana, Ken, Greg, Brian, Larry, Crab, Julio. Good morning, Nike, Morris, Peter, Adam, Angelo. Good morning, Roman, Music, Faraj, eBay, TK, Roma. Good morning, Trevor, Darius, Dennis, Ian. Good morning, Mark, Scott, Fable, and Ryder. Appreciate you guys being here. Good morning, everybody else just listening in. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Bitcoin having a pretty good day, up like 4%. It is in that area where this could be the bottom, but is it likely the bottom? Probably not. Because it is in that 40 to 60% drop off from the all-time high. That's typically where you want to start looking for those long-term investments. I would like one more push down for the long-term investments. I think around 50 to 40K. And 40K is probably asking for too much. But I think like mid 40s to mid 50s would be a much better buy for long-term. That would feel a lot safer. I say long-term, it's really not even that long-term crypto-wise. It's only like 2 to 3 years is normally how long you have to hold it. But I'd feel much more comfortable with a big buy around the mid-40s to mid-50s than buying right here. If you buy right here, it would just be like a dollar cost average where you have plans to add on to it later. I think this would be like the shortest bear market like ever, if that was the bottom. But the bear markets are getting shorter and shorter on crypto because it's so mainstream. It's going to eventually become like ES and NASDAQ, maybe 10 years down the road, however long, who knows. But it's going to become like the equities where the bear markets are like very, very, very short. And then you just immediately go back to all-time high. It's like COVID. Try to find COVID on a chart. On the long-term chart, it's like it never even happened. And I feel like that's what crypto is going to become. It's never going to be like to that exact level because it is a higher volatility asset. But I think it will get a lot closer to that mentality where the bear markets are just like blips on the high time frame chart. You can barely even find them on the chart. Not like we currently have where the bear markets last for sometimes a year or two. You want a Joe, Ollie? So far, I'm not fully convinced that they're breaking out of this range. I don't see a very significant node just yet. There's a node right here, but it's mostly a bearish node. So I'm not convinced just yet. We are starting to fill in those single prints, so keep an eye on that. At least on... no, I think on ES as well. Yeah, on ES as well. I was going to say on NASDAQ, but on ES as well. So these go up to 60, so we've got a few remaining. Yeah, NVIDIA earnings are after the close, so they're kind of more so for tomorrow, not for today. Pretty important daily levels that we are running into now. If I pull it up on this chart here, here are the daily trails coming up. We have not tapped these daily trails in quite a while. So we bounced off that pivot right there, back into that daily trail. It's around 950. Daily trail on NASDAQ 318. They have not been tested on the downside just yet, so this will be the first test. So very important day today to see if this is a downtrend forming on the higher time frames, because if this maintains the lower high structure, it's going to look like it's kind of downtrending, right? Thirty-minute trail holding very strong since about Monday, pretty much the entire week. We've been holding on to that trail. Nice little trend up here. Weekly trail for the long-term buyers still holding very strong. So far, in the grand scheme of things, on the higher time frames, this is just a little pullback into the trail. Nothing crazy. But if you fail that daily trail and put in that lower high, that might start pressuring that weekly trend. So like I said, very important week. We'll see how it closes. The NVIDIA earnings are definitely going to push it one way or the other. Good morning, Lumir. Good morning, Adriana. Yeah, so all the metals were doing good again. Silver and gold were pushing back up. Okay, getting a lot stronger now. So earlier this was just showing a lot of bearish delta, but now they're finding that bullish delta on the push up here. Single prints go until 60, so they need like one more push. And they will finally be filled in. We've been looking for those single prints for like a week now. I think, what, 2 weeks actually? Because we've been arranging for a week. Yeah, 2 weeks. If you guys don't remember, the single prints we're hunting are the ones on Thursday. We had that really nasty sell-off that started this entire range. So you sold off, you found a bunch of value down here, and then it just overlap for like 2 weeks. And then now we're finally back into where it started. So think about this kind of like a point of origin. This is where that range kind of originated. There is a big value level at 48, which could stall you out a little bit before hitting those single prints. And funny enough, 48 is exactly where the daily trail is as well. So there is some daily resistance stopping us before we get to those single prints, which is possibly why we're seeing the sell pressure that we're seeing right now. No, Chris, I'm not on Substack at all. So if you guys are receiving messages from somebody that's impersonating me, that's what they're doing. It's just a scam. If you want, you can send me, if you're still in Discord or like on my email, you can send me like a screenshot and I can contact their team. Or if you want to just go ahead and send it straight to their team, you can do that as well. Just tell them, hey, this guy's impersonating him or whatever. It's a scam. But yeah, I'm not on Substack anymore. Nothing wrong with the platform. We were doing that newsletter for quite a while. I was just trying out something different of how I do my my like daily trade plans and my trade plans on Discord. 5-minute lows being protected, by the way, so still nice little trend here. But at the end of the day, it was just so much extra work for like the same exact thing that I was doing on YouTube and Discord. So it just was not worth my extra time that I was putting into it. I started doing it through YouTube because YouTube has like the post function where I can just put my trade plan there every single day. And I figured that was a lot easier than having a whole nother email service you guys had to sign up for. Right now, guys, as long as the uptrend continues, we are looking for 60. That is that final target for those single prints. Our 48 target is basically being hit right here. I also got a lot of complaints from you guys about like Substack was really bad with notifications. Like they would spam you with notifications, and sometimes you wouldn't even get the notifications for like the newsletter and whatnot. So it was just a pain in the ass, to be honest. Yeah, exactly, Karini. What you want to do, there's no exact science to it. I just grab it where it starts to develop that range. So like where the impulse started to turn into a range. So you can go back and like find where the low is, and then you kind of see like based on where the sell pressure is coming in, where did that start? So like if we draw that over, it started around here. So you need to kind of see where the low is and where the high is. And then you want to go back to where that kind of started. And that's what I do. You could also, if you want to cut out this part, you could literally just take it from the low to the high. But you lose a little bit of value if you do that. So like what I could do is I could pull this over to like where the low started. And it would still be relatively the same. But I like to just grab that little bit extra to where it kind of started. You pull it to the left a little bit. And here's that 48 level, damn near to the tick. Yeah, literally to the tick. So if it breaks that, keep an eye on 60. That is our next target. Oh, is it like coming from my actual Substack, Chris? Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Yeah, I haven't logged into that in a while. Let me see what it says. If you go through that message, Chris, like, is there a way for you to click on, like, the profile and go to the profile? Like, does it take you directly to my main Substack page, or does it take you to, like, a random profile? I'll just go in today and I'll just fully shut down that entire account. What I did before is I disabled basically everything. I disabled, like, the payments and all the important information and everything. but the account is still there. I'll just shut the account down. Okay, still going here, so keep an eye on 60. What Substack? Well, you don't have to worry about it because I'm literally shutting the account down. But it was what I used to use for a newsletter. I think it was like, what, a year or two ago? But yeah, Chris, click on that guy's profile on Substack and see if it takes you to like my exact profile. It will probably look like my profile. They'll probably copy it. But is it my actual profile? It should say I have like 1,000 followers or whatever. Yeah, so that's just a scam, Chris. Because my actual profile is OTG Research, I believe it is. So that's the easiest way to find out if people are trying to scam you on like anything, TradingView, Discord, is double check the account name. Twitter. They'll try to copy the account exactly one-to-one, but they can't take the account name. Yeah, I appreciate that. No, it's a good reminder. I'm actually going to probably just go in and delete the account, so it's a good reminder to go do that. I actually completely forgot about it, to be honest. One thing today, guys, is look at our liquidity. Our liquidity is actually pretty good. I haven't said that in a long time. The liquidity's been bad for weeks, if not months. It's actually not bad right now. It does seem like there is a pattern that when we are going up and we're getting closer to this like 7,000 area, the liquidity is getting better. And we've seen that the last time we were trading around 7,000. And that could be because there's just a lot of sell orders up here, because we're near all-time high. Could be many factors. But there is definitely more liquidity around 7K. Yeah, the delta's insanely strong on NASDAQ, possibly because of the NVIDIA earnings. Maybe people are preparing for that. First loss of the 24 and daily VWAP here. We'll see if it can actually hold below it. A little bit of sell pressure coming in on that 48 level. This is that 48 level from our trade plan, which is a value level way back on the 11th. And this is what I was talking about with this level possibly stopping you from filling in these single prints. You got a couple left going up to 60, but it's stalling right on that value level. If the sell pressure does continue, keep an eye on those session VWAPs. The session VWAP is very far away on NASDAQ, so keep an eye on the daily VWAP. But on ES, the session VWAP is 27. They failed to find a second node here. So coming back to that first node. It was almost perfect. You're failing 49 instead of 48. Very strong on NASDAQ today, holding on to that ADMA pretty much the entire time. Bouncing off the daily VWAP on ES as well. putting in a lower high here. I don't know if you could really call this a rollover top, but it's very close. You don't really have a sweep. It's more of a head and shoulders. Lower high pushing back below the daily VWAP, possibly into the session VWAP. Keep an eye on those 5-minute highs. We'll see if they keep getting protected here. What do you mean RSP? I'm not sure what you mean. Is that a ticker? ETF for SPY? Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't taken a look at that one. SPY and ES are basically 1-to-1. I'm not sure about RSP. I don't know what that is. Keep an eye on that session VWAP coming up at 28. Still not too much weakness on NASDAQ here. Here's the 24 EMA. If it can hold that, you're just still in a uptrend here. 30-minute lows not being taken out just yet. There's still a possibility for a bounce here. Keep an eye on that 28 level, which is VWAP. Once again, look at the tape. The tape's not showing too many level 2 orders. You got a couple here and there. So liquidity is a lot better. I think the volume is also a little low. So that is helping. Well, NVIDIA earnings are after the close, so they're more so for tomorrow. But you could argue that people are preparing for the earnings, but it's all just speculation. I'm not sure what you mean, Chris, because I'm watching SPY. It is literally bar by bar the same. You might have different data or something. But if you show SPY, if you put SPY next to ES, they are bar by bar identical. I don't see any discrepancy whatsoever. The lows and highs are exactly the same. Here's a screenshot of them. You can almost literally not tell the difference. You don't know if I hid the price, you wouldn't know which one is which. You might want to check your data. You might have incorrect data on one of them. Yeah, RSP is not the same, but ES and SPY are the same. I'm not referring to RSP. It's a different ETF. But SPY and ES track the same exact assets. The market is like 99.99% of the time not going to allow ES and SPY or NASDAQ and Qs to not trade the same exact way. Because it's just free money. If one of them is it's trading away from the other, that's what arbitrage is, right? They're going to keep that in alignment at, like I said, 99.99% of the time. If it's out of alignment, they make free money. It's like the whole idea behind like market making, right? That's kind of their job. Yeah, but that's what I'm asking, Chris. Like, I'm asking, what do you mean? You said you see divergence between SPY and ES. That's almost impossible. If you can refer to like an exact time or something, I can take a look at it. Because when you're comparing them like one bar to bar, 1 minute to 1 minute, like I said, if you hid the price, you almost won't even be able to tell me which one is ES or which one is SPY. Now, if you're comparing them to a different ETF, like what you said, RSP, that obviously tracks different things. So you can definitely trade a correlation on that, because that's not an arbitrage thing. That's more of a correlation. Keep an eye on VWAP here, down to 28. Well, then, yeah, that's a completely different story. So if you're using indicators on ES and SPY, that's not them by themselves, like in a, how do I put this? They're not diverging in price. They're not diverging by themselves. Those are the indicators you're looking at. And that's a completely different story because the indicators are going off of completely different data. It's like when I tell you guys about ES and MES. Yes, they're the exact same thing, like they're tracking the exact same thing, but they are completely different markets. So the indicators might tell you one thing on ES, but not one thing on MES. That's the same with SPY and ES. They track the exact same thing, but their data is different because they're trading completely different volume-wise. Now, most indicators that track price action, they're going to be the same because price is the same. But if it does anything whatsoever to track volume, the indicator will be different because the volume that is trading on SPY is not the volume that is trading on ES. They are completely individual markets in their volume. But if you throw an ADMA on SPY and throw an ADMA on ES, it's not going to be the exact same price. Obviously, they're not the same price. But when it is tested, will be exactly the same. Because the average will be the average, because the candles are the same. So the line will be in the same place. You just have to ignore the number because the price is not the same. It'll be like 60, like right here, for example, VWAP. This VWAP, well, unfortunately, this is actually a bad example because this is the session VWAP. You can't get the session VWAP on SPY. The daily VWAP would be a better example because they both are the same. They both start at 9:30. But the session VWAP you can't do on SPY because of it not being a 24/7 market like ES is, nearly 24/7. But I'm sure you guys get what I'm saying. The line will be in the same place, the number will be different. It's why like Bollinger Bands are the same on ES and SPY because they're just price based. It's a price and volatility thing. Volatility is pretty much the same on both. But as soon as you start playing with volume, the indicators are completely different. It's why my pivots are not the same. If you look at my pivots on SPY and ES, they're not going to be the same because the pivots are heavily focused on volume. Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember if stochastics uses volume. I don't think so. Yeah, if you're using free data on TradingView, you are delayed, correct. The other problem, and I'm still going into this because this is a really good topic for you guys to understand. But another good example, or a problem, I guess you would say, is if you're comparing SPY or any ETF to its futures contract, like ES to SPY or NASDAQ to Qs, The price indicators should be mostly the same. Where they start to have a problem is, like I just said earlier, the ETFs are not a near 24/7 market. The futures are. So the futures have a much better data in the pre-market than SPY and Qs. So when you are running indicators, let's say of 200 EMA, if I'm running a 200 EMA on SPY, it is not going to have the same data that ES does on a 200 EMA right at the open, because the pre-market data is much, much better on ES. So if you use a very long length in your indicators, around the open, they will not be the same, because they are not pulling from the same information on the pre-market. As the day develops and your indicator length is inside of the cash range, starting from 9:30 to, let's say, 11:30, whatever. If we're at 11:30 and I'm only pulling data from after the open, then the indicators will be relatively the same, because they have the same data to pull from. But as soon as they start dipping into that pre-market, they are not the same. The futures market has much better data on the pre-market. So those are the two things that break the indicators being completely correlated. Volume, which is a completely individual market, and using pre-market data. And that's a very good thing for you guys to understand if you guys are building your own indicators or building your own strategies and testing indicators and whatnot. I had to go through years and years of testing that. Are the indicators better on SPY? Are they better on ES? Are they better on cash? Are they better if you give them pre-market data? Been there, done that. I've done that for years. So just relaying how that can help you guys. Keep an eye on VWAP here, 29. You're on VWAP as well, but it's the daily VWAP on NASDAQ. Yeah, I used to have this conversation a lot with people in chat that would ask me, can you build a bot for this exact thing? Like, can you build an arbitrage bot that will look for a discrepancy between ES and SPY or NASDAQ and Qs? And the answer is yes, but the answer is also don't waste your time, because that's what the market makers are doing, and they have billions of dollars. So your little retail arbitrage bot is trying to compete against billions of dollars if you're only looking for that exact discrepancy in price. Like, oh, ES is going up a few ticks, but SPY isn't going up a few ticks. Let me get that few ticks. You're just not going to be able to do it. The people with billions of dollars are going to destroy you in that world. But if you're using another system with indicators and a bunch of other quote-unquote edge, then maybe you can do it, right? But price to price, you're never going to compete with these multi-billion, sometimes hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars in assets under management. They're going to steamroll you. I used to work for an arbitrage hedge fund, but couldn't compete with the big guys anymore. Yeah. Statistical arbitrage used by the pros. Yeah, exactly. If you're going into the world of arbitrage, you're basically just setting yourself up for failure. We want to be like rats, like picking up the crumbs. We don't want to compete with these big boys, right? It's like that movie War Dogs, if you guys have seen War Dogs. They're trying to find all the little crumbs, all the small contracts. They're not competing against the big boys for the large contracts. This is that daily trail back test. So far, failing both of them. Daily trail is at 48, 49 to be exact, so it is literally the high of day. And the daily trail on NASDAQ is 322. What's the high of day there? 363. So you went through the daily one a little bit on NQ. But this is the daily trail to the tick on ES. Well, that's a completely different story, Algo. You're talking about like correlation is not arbitrage, is the easiest way that I can say it. That is correlation. That's not arbitrage. Arbitrage is like these assets are exactly the same. Think about, here's an easy way to understand it. Think about Bitcoin on different exchanges. Bitcoin has a different price based on what exchange it's on. And there is arbitrage that can be made there. And it's a lot easier on crypto. Nowadays, probably not so much. Back in the day, we could actually do this as retail traders, and we did do this on stream. If you guys watched the stream at the very beginning, back in 2018 to like 2019. There were different prices on different exchanges, and it happened to a very large degree if you were looking at like an exchange in Europe compared to an exchange in like Korea or Japan or whatever. Sometimes they'd have like a $400 difference. But the problem is you'd have the withdrawal fees and the exchange fee and like all the bullshit, right? So you might be able to buy it here and sell it there and make $400, but then your fees cut it down to like $100. But then if you have an algorithm that can do that 1,000 times, you're making money, right? Isn't that how FTX made their start? Yes, it is, yeah. Well, on paper. Who knows how they actually made their start? They were a big fraud. But that's what they told everybody, is they were a big arbitrage firm. But yes, back in the day, crypto, the little guys like us, we could do the arbitrage because there weren't these massive hedge funds and banks and whatnot doing it. But nowadays, it's probably not very manageable. Okay, bouncing off VWAP on NASDAQ. NASDAQ seems to be leading today, so it is helping ES go up here. 30-minute lows being protected as well. But yeah, long story short, don't mess around with arbitrage. It's a waste of time. You're competing against people that are possibly way smarter, way more funded, way more powerful. But correlation, completely different story. You can look for correlations in gold, silver, whatever, other stocks. That's not arbitrage. The dollar, right? Strong sell pressure coming in here. I'm not sure if this is headline related. Let me see. I don't see any headlines so far. Keep an eye on VWAP down to 29 here. Most likely a headline with this speed of the tape. When you see the speed of the tape change that much, the Treasury Secretary is making statements right now, so if I had to guess, it has to be that. An extension of the lower tail. If you're talking about a full session, you don't need an extension there. You already have a massive lower tail. We need an upper tail extension because the lower tail is much longer. We're turning into a P-shaped profile. Oh, you mean upper tail? Yeah, so upper tail extension is possible as long as you protect the value low. First thing you're looking for is the POC. Then you look for the rotation. And then if you build a node above the rotation, that's where that extension comes in. And the extension is, let's see here. It'd be about around 80, somewhere around 80. It's never perfect, but somewhere around there. But yeah, there's a lot of levels to go before we start looking for that. We still don't know if it's going to hold on to the value low here. Hey, Scott, have a good day, man. We'll see you tomorrow. You're seeing the pressure from the lower highs, but you're not seeing the pressure on the aggressive side. You're not pushing those 30-minute lows. Still trying to hold on to VWAP. You can see a lot of bearish delta was trading into that VWAP. Nothing below it, though. You're not able to break it. Liquidity is actually pretty good today. It's actually much better than we've seen recently. That's why we're seeing a lot of sticky price action. You can see it's hanging out on levels for quite a while. This move here was a headline, so that moved very quickly. Yeah, this is the danger zone that you're stuck between the two VWAPs. You get a lot of chop like this when you're between the daily and session VWAP. Session VWAP is at 30, daily's at 38. So it's not that big of a range, 8-point range. But you can see what it's doing to price. I'd say we would prefer the market to go down here and be trading around kind of this area here. Because we have NVIDIA earnings after the close. So we don't want to run too hard before the earnings, because if the earnings are bad, it just comes right back down. So better to be neutral going into the earnings. How's NVIDIA doing? It's funny, I drew this a long time ago. And it's basically still the same. Has not really changed. The high VWAP, low VWAP, they're both around like 185, trading above it for now, trading above the range value as well. Not too bad going into earnings, pretty neutral. I'd say bullish earnings, you have a very obvious target. You have the target of the gap right here. Bearish earnings, I would say either towards the low of the range or worst case scenario, the actual low of the range. What's the expected move? Let me take a look. I'm assuming it's relatively close to what I just marked out. Let's see here. 185 to 206. Yeah, almost exactly what I just did. So 206 is the gap. 185 is the low of the value. It's a little bit higher. It's around VWAPs. So percentage-wise, that is about 6%. Yeah, it's about 5% either way. 5 to 6%. How to calculate expected move? There's a fancy formula for it, but I just look at the broker. The broker does it for you. If you have a good options broker, they normally all have the expected move. I don't remember the formula off the top of my head, but there is a formula if you want to do it yourself. Just look up the expected move formula. I got lazy. I don't do the formula anymore. It just tells me exactly where it is. To be exact, it's 185 to 206. Basically that. Still bottom heavy here, still pressuring VWAP. Isn't there a wall VWAP? I'm not sure. I don't have level 2 data. There might be. Oh, you mean like a wall, like a delta wall? No, I don't think so. I don't see a very obvious wall here, no. Just a quick reminder, guys, I will give you another one at the end of the stream. But because it is the last week of the month, you can send over your receipts if you guys use code BREW for Apex if you want to get entered in the raffle. Here is my email. It doesn't cost you anything to get entered in the raffle. Obviously, you have to buy the accounts, but outside of that, the raffle is free to enter. You get tickets per account size, so 100K, 2 tickets, 153 tickets, so on and so forth. We're doing Discord prizes and cash prizes through PayPal. So be sure to send those receipts over. Any accounts you bought in February using the code BREW. I'll give you another reminder tomorrow and Friday as well. Just have them sent over before Sunday. Like Saturday night is like the absolute deadline because I'm most likely going to pull the raffle on Sunday morning to afternoon. And I don't believe they've announced a new sale. They normally have a sale after the 90%, but I don't see one. So because there is a couple days left in the month and there's no sale going on right now, if you guys do buy accounts Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, those are the last days. If you send those over, I'll give you double tickets for those accounts because there's no sale going on. So you get like 50% off just by default if you use the code BREW, even if there's no sale. But they just ended their 90% off, I think, last night. And I don't believe they extended it. Losing VWAP here on NASDAQ. Keep an eye on the session VWAP at 211. Pretty far away, but that is the next major level. I think you also have the value low coming up. Let me see. Value low is 140. So it's actually below the VWAP. Yeah, so the wall, you have to have a ton of volume trading on one single tick, which we do not have right now. It's allowing it to go through these ticks. You're not stopping at a single tick. Oh yeah, but by the way, for the raffle, I just need to see the account size and the invoice number. And obviously that you purchased it in February. It should have a date like in between those. All three of those should be right next to each other. Keep it on VWAP here, testing VWAP. Oh, it is 80% off with my code right now? Awesome, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I didn't see an email saying that they extended it, so I wasn't sure. So it sounds like it dropped down to 80%. I appreciate that. Still stuck in this danger zone here between the VWAPs, just bouncing back and forth. Looks like the loss of VWAP on NASDAQ is a trap because you're bouncing off VWAP on ES here. So you see how the daily VWAP is right here? And the session VWAP is coming from the pre-market. And then they kind of converge together. And it creates this little gap in between, this zone between. That's what I'm talking about. That's like the danger zone because you get a lot of price action like this, where it just chops like crazy in between those VWAPs because it's like two magnets just pulling you back and forth. I wouldn't say it's like a danger zone for NASDAQ because they're so far apart. Now, it could be. You could still treat that as kind of like a bad zone to trade in. But I'm more so talking about when they do this, when they kind of converge like this. You also can see this chop when you have the 30-minute highs being protected, but you also have the lows being protected. Not very exciting price action, but like I said earlier, this is kind of what you want leading into a massive earnings like Nvidia. We do want it to be more neutral. So honestly, we'd want it to come down a little bit more. What is leading this push up so much? Looks like everything, honestly. Nvidia is up. Microsoft, Apple. Apple trying to go high of day. Facebook's not doing too bad. Netflix is up. Looks like Google's the only weak one. Why did they move these? I don't like that. I guess the size changed, messed them up. Yeah, it looks like it's a big sector day. The big sectors are pretty green, the smaller sectors are pretty red. Are the earnings already baked in? Well, that's the golden question, right? That's the question everybody always asks when you have big earnings like this. And you just never know. Bitcoin's still pushing up 5.25. Well, we're actually up from that news, Chris, so that argument doesn't really work too much. Since that headline came out, we're positive. Well, you don't have the full story, Joe. The story is that very certain tariffs were overruled, but he still has the power to issue tariffs in other ways. US law is extremely complicated, and I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really go into detail. I don't have the experience or the education. But from what I've seen, there's many different sections of the law. There are ways that he can issue tariffs and there are ways that he can't. And the ruling actually helped him more than it hurt him. The headline was misleading. And I went over this on stream when it came out. But the headline is better for him because it's basically explaining to him what he can't do. So now he knows, okay, so now I can push tariffs these other ways. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're pushing more tariffs in other ways. People saw that headline and thought that all the tariffs were coming back and there was going to be tariff refunds and yada, yada, yada. But then that's what I constantly tell you guys about media. You guys just, you don't want to fall victim to like a headline. You need to understand the full story. The market does not seem to have the sensitivity to the tariffs that we had before. The word tariff is not nuking us every single time that it's talked about in the headlines. It definitely still has a bearish bias, but it's not just completely sell everything every time you see the word tariff on a headline. We were like that for quite a while. That's what I talked about on that stream as well back. What day was that? The 22nd, I think it was. What was the Friday? Was it the 20th? It might have been the 20th. Whatever Friday was. I think it was Friday. I don't remember exactly. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Hey, Future, have a good day, man. I completely forgot what I was saying. But yeah, the decision came out on Friday. Oh, that's right. Thank you. So the the pressure is what I was talking about. So like before, the tariffs had a very bearish pressure. So what we were assuming, what the market was assuming for the most part, was once this decision came out and they started pushing against the tariffs, well, the most obvious way to think about that is bullish. If all the tariffs have been taken bearishly over the last year, and now we have this decision coming out that is anti-tariff, that should be bullish in the most simple way possible, right? But unfortunately, that's not what happened. The market tried to go up a little bit. The initial reaction was very bullish, and then it reversed it. And then it went down for like a day or two. And now we are back to going up. But now we're back to going up when there's more tariffs being pushed forward. So going back to what I was just saying, the market is not as sensitive to these tariffs as we used to be, because he's pushing for more tariffs right as we speak, and the market is breaking out of a range to the upside. That tells us that the market is no longer extremely sensitive to the downside every time we see the word tariff, which is a great thing. We don't want that. We don't want the market to be overly tied to like a couple of words. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole argument of is tariff good, is tariff bad. You guys know I don't do that here. I'm not a political streamer. I don't even talk about economics as a whole like that. I'm talking about in the sense of trading, in the short-term aspect of is it going up or is it going down? That's what I care about. I'm not going to get into the whole the geopolitics of it. Yeah, exactly, Ram. That's their job, right? Their job is to get clicks. So whatever headline they can put out that gets them more clicks. Oh, and by the way, once again, not about the politics, just about what affects trading. The only two things that were stated during the State of the Union that would affect trading was he mentioned the stock ban, or like the insider trading ban basically for Congress. They mentioned that. He also mentioned tech companies building data centers can also build like power plants or places to generate their own power instead of heavily relying on the power grid. Those are the only two things that were really mentioned that were not more on the politics side. Everything else was just more political, usually. And as with every political speech, they don't massively impact the market until they actually start being pushed through, like actually put into paper. Like they've been talking about the stock ban for decades, right? But it hasn't actually happened yet. So that's not going to impact the market until it's actually being pushed in. The power plants thing, I didn't quite understand exactly what he was saying. I do want to see that written down. I do want to see that actual bill, because that would be massive for my area. Because my area is the data center capital of the world, so they've been sucking up all of our power for a long time. Yeah, exactly, Chris. I agree. I think they should be sourcing their own power as well. I wanted to keep an eye on that because I want to see how that impacts like the power company stocks like Dominion. I can't remember the names of the other ones off the top of my head. Also like the nuclear power stocks, all that stuff. I know there were a lot of stocks that we were looking at not too long ago for the modular nuclear power stocks, the much smaller power plants they're trying to design. A lot of those have already taken off, though. We've kind of missed the train on those. Long term, they probably have plenty of room to grow, but short term, we have missed the train. How's Dominion doing? They're still going up very slowly. Dominion is one to watch because, like I said, in my area, that's who the power company is, and that's obviously who's providing power most of the time to a lot of these data centers. If they're not outsourcing it to somebody else. No change here, by the way. Still stuck inside this VWAP dead zone. You just treat this like a value area, basically. You think about the daily VWAP as the value high, the session VWAP as the value low, and you're just rotating over and over. 30-minute highs still being protected, lows being protected. We're just inside of the opening candle. You just take a level on the high of the opening candle, low of the opening candle, and we are just stuck inside of it. Okay, so a little bit of a, once again, if you think about this as a value area, a little bit of a failure to rotate here. You tried to go back down to the value, or sorry, what would be the value low, but it's actually VWAP. But now you're bouncing early. So putting in a little bit of a higher low there. See if they can stay above this 30-minute high around 43. I mean, nothing really matters until we get outside of this initial candle. The opening candle is really holding us down here. It's failing that daily trail literally to the tick, right at that 49 level. There's the daily trail right there. So we'll keep an eye on where it closes. Is it going to close below that trail? Here's the daily trail on NASDAQ as well. It all just depends on the NVIDIA earnings, realistically. That's the first 30 minutes, so 9:30 to 10 o'clock. So that would be the A session on the TPO. You can see the A session, we're just engulfing all these other candles here. Obviously, it's like a backwards engulf. These are all just inside bars. You just have to change the source. If you change the source to the delta, that's what it does. So it's not relying on the price for the data, it's relying on the delta. Okay, so we saw the higher low, which you could think about as a failure to rotate. And now we are seeing the buy pressure from that higher low. So we are trying to take out this prior 30-minute candle, but keep an eye on that opening 30-minute candle. A very balanced cash profile so far, which, because we were so bullish on the pre-market, we have more of a P-shaped profile on the pre-market. Or if you look at the full session, I mean. So still a slight bullish bias. If you can stay above the POC, you're trying to extend that upper tail, which lines up perfectly with repairing those single prints. The single prints going back to 60. But all right, guys, we are coming to that time. Are we doing a giveaway today? Let me see. We're at 81 likes. Can you guys get that above 100? If you get it above 100, we'll do an Apex account giveaway. Somebody in Discord did mention that the code is still 80% off, even though it doesn't say there is a sale going on right now. So Apex still 80% off right now. If you guys do buy any accounts, let me know. Here is my email. Just be sure to send those over before Saturday night. Saturday night is the deadline. Just send over any receipts you use code BREW for, and you'll be entered in the raffle for Discord prizes and cash prizes. The cash prizes are through PayPal. I just need to be able to see the account size when you purchase it, obviously, and the invoice number. They're usually all right next to each other in the receipt, if you want to take a screenshot of them. Did we get above 100? What are we at now? Awesome, we were above 100. I appreciate that, guys. Let me go ahead and get the giveaway ready. Make sure you guys press that live button. Make sure you are up to date on the stream. Make sure you don't have a really big delay. Go ahead and pick one number between 1 and 50. Don't worry about ties. We'll do a tiebreaker. Just pick one number, 1 through 50. Keep an eye on that morning high around 49. A lot of buy pressure still coming in here. Be sure to have your email ready. I will need to confirm your email to send you the promo code, which, by the way, it's a promo code for Apex. It will give you a free account for 30 days. I don't explain what Apex is because I just assume all you guys already know what it is. But if you guys don't know what it is, it's a futures trading prop firm. If you guys are getting into futures trading, highly recommend using a prop firm and not your own money, because you will very likely lose money for quite a while until you figure it out. And it's much better to lose money in a simulated account or a prop firm account than your own money. If you guys are brand new to using the brew code and you haven't already received access to the indicators, be sure to send me an email. Just let me know, hey, I used your code. Here's my most recent receipt. Here is my TradingView username. I'll get you guys added to the indicators for 60 days to help you guys get funded. The indicators are the momentum indicator, the OTS that has the pivots and the trail and the candle coloring, and also the bots as well. So if you're emailing me for indicators, just put indicators in the subject line. If it's for the raffle, just put like raffle or something like that. If you put them in the same email, I most likely will not see the indicator part of it. All right, what do we got here? I'll give you 30 more seconds, and I'm going to start rolling it. Press that live button. Be sure to have your email ready. If I do roll your number, just let me know that I rolled it, and I will double check. I can see your chat history. If you guys are heading out before the giveaway, I appreciate you being here. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always. I'll also be streaming the rest of the day in Discord if you guys are in Discord. All right, guys, good luck. The last number that I see is Polo for the first roll. It is 17. I do see a 17. Orion, is there anybody else? I see Mr. Crab. I see Karini. We got a three-way tie. So Orion, Karini, and who was the other one I said? And Mr. Crab. Okay, I'll give you 30 more seconds. Anybody else? Did I not call on you? And you picked 17? Let me know. I'll double check. And for you three, go ahead and pick a number between 1 and 10. And I'll do a tiebreaker. Orion has 9. Crab has 5, and Carini has 7. I don't see anybody else that I missed, so I'm going to go ahead and roll the tiebreaker. Good luck, guys. What is it? 957. 957. It is 7. Lucky number 7, Carini. I know you're in Discord, but go ahead and send me an email anyway, because I like keeping them all in the same place. So let me get my email for you. Email is giveaway.dejobritrading@gmail.com. So send me an email. Let me know what your YouTube name is. And I'll send you a random number to type in chat. If you guys are heading out, I appreciate being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be on the lookout for this breakout, possibly into 60, which will fill in the single prints and complete our trade plan. Let me know when you send the email, Carini. I'll take a look. I see your email. I'm going to give you a random number here. Man, I think this weekend, I'm switching off of Opera. It's been lagging like crazy recently. I don't know what the problem is. Might go back to like Firefox or Brave browser or something. But Opera has just been terrible. It seems like it has like massive memory leaks. Brave is great. Yeah, I might try out Brave. Might try out Firefox. Just like the last like month or so, the memory leaks have been insane on Opera. Don't know if it's my PC or just the browser. I see you, Carini. So next thing you'll see is the promo code. But all right, guys, I appreciate being here. Be on the lookout for those single prints at 60. If we don't break out, just keep an eye on that full session rotation. Just going to keep rotating back and forth. But all right, guys, I'll see you in Discord for the rest of the day. If you're not in Discord, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody.